Hey Adventurers, so today is going to be our wrap up for October. This is a small wrap up for both of us. We were gone with the first half of the month and just didn't get very much reading in, and that's the way things go sometimes. The first one that I finished though is The Sunlet Man by Brandon Sanderson. This is his secret project number 4, and this is a Cosmere one, very, very heavily tied into the Cosmere and especially into the Stormlight Archive, so I can't really recommend you read it unless you've read those other things. It wasn't my favorite Sanderson. It felt a lot more like his newer works rather than his older works, and I tend to like his older works better. But that's not to say that I disliked it. I did like it quite a bit. It just isn't my favorite. The next one that I finished is A Crown of Swords, which is book 7 of The Wheel of Time by Robert Jordan. This is one of the better ones, in my opinion. I thought that there was some actually interesting things going on in this book, and the pace was decent throughout the entire book. So overall, the series is like a 6 or 7 tops for me, but it's there's some books that are definitely better than others, and I'm about to get into the slog, so we'll see how it goes from there.
So the first and only book I finished in October was The Road Back to Sweetgrass by Linda Lagarde Grover. This is a book that I picked up on a blind date with a book, one of those where you buy the book and it's all wrapped up and you don't know what you're getting. I opened it up, it was this. I was really excited to read it. So it's following several different people in a reservation. The reservation in the book is fictional, but I was excited to read it because I wanted to follow the characters. The way that the synopsis was set up sounded very intriguing to me, and I was like, I've never read anything set on a reservation that I can remember, so I was kind of excited to see what it's like and a little bit of the culture and how their culture influences their lives on the reservations. So I was excited to see that, and I did get to see a little bit of it. But there was a lot in the book that I didn't like. Things felt weird, they felt forced. It felt like there was more political push in the book than I expected, and I don't even know if it was intentional or if it was meant to come across that way, but it's how I interpreted it, so I didn't love that aspect of it. Also, the things that were happening in the book, some of the terrible things could have been avoided so simply, and that's really frustrating to read, which, like, that happens all across the board in books. There's things that could be avoided, but that was definitely a big part of it. And then, as a writer, this threw me off, and it took me a while to figure out what in the world was going on. It switches between first and third person in the book without warning. Like, it's a chapter break. It's not within the prose. It's not within a page, but it's very jarring. I mean, I do that accidentally in writing, and it's a flaw, okay, but this was intentional, and it didn't work for me because I never knew who I was following in the first person, especially because they really wanted you to dive into their head and their thoughts and how their beliefs were influencing the way they viewed the world, which I would have loved to see all those things from the characters, but switching between third and first person didn't work for me at all. It was too upsetting to try and figure out that transition. So, very difficult in that sense. I must have been 3/4 of the way through the book before I realized, oh, this is happening, this is what's happening. That's so confusing to me because I was like, wasn't I following someone in first person, but I'm in third person now? Anyhow, wasn't a book I loved. I wouldn't read it again personally, but I was excited to try it.
So the next one that I got to is More Than a God War by J.R. Carroll. This is the second book in the Unbreakable trilogy. I've read the first book, and the second book that he wrote, which is also in the same universe, is More Than Human Universe, and so this book is a direct sequel, and it just came out last month, I believe, October 6th, I want to say. And so it's a new book. He sent me the audiobook so that I could listen to it and review it for him. I enjoyed this one quite a bit. I enjoyed it more than I enjoyed the first book, which is More Than a Vampire. I do have a review of it up now, and so if you want to know more of my thoughts, that's a great place to go. And then the last book that I listened to was The Halloween Tree by Ray Bradbury. So it's more like a short, more like a novella than a novel, I think. It's, I believe, only like 150 pages or something like that. So it didn't take me very long to listen to. I needed something, I didn't have anything to listen to, and it was available, or rather it was free on Audible. I got it for free on Audible, and so I was like, oh, this is a good opportunity to listen to it because I don't have an audiobook at the moment and I just need something quick. So I picked it up and listened to it in one day, and then interesting interesting little story, some cool things that were done in it. I like Bradbury's writing a lot. I'm not the biggest fan of Halloween though, and so that was definitely took my enjoyment down a little bit because of the topic of it, and I knew that going into it, so it wasn't a surprise. But there was some cool things that they did with it that were done with the story, and it was a fun book to read. There was some, like, I enjoyed listening to the story that was being told, even if it was about a topic that I don't particularly care to read about. So yeah, a good month in terms of what I actually read, but not a ton of books read. So thank you guys for watching an Erudite Adventure. We post videos every Monday and Thursday, and have our social media is linked in the description down below. We'll see you guys again soon. Stay warm.